Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is AR Movie Memos. I am your mad critic, AR. And today we will be reviewing Snow White 2025, Disney's new adaptation of the 1937 film and Disney classic. And before we dive into the review, I just want to thank everyone that tunes into this review and all of the other reviews I have up on the channel. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, for we will be bringing you more reviews and content over the next few months, especially the way the summer blockbuster season is about to get started. But let's get into the review. 2025 Snow White is directed by Mark Webb. It is starring Rachel Zegler, who is playing Snow White, and Drew Barnott, who is playing a new character created for this film adaptation of the story. His character name is Jonathan. He is a rebel and leading a small resistance against the evil queen. And speaking of the evil queen slash stepmother of Snow White, that is being played by Gadot. Okay, so before I even give my overall thoughts, this movie has had a lot of controversy before the film has even came out between the casting of Snow White, the dwarves that are being portrayed in the film, the criticism of the 1937 film by the star of the film, Rachel Zegler herself, and also Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot's political views. I'm not going to really get into none of that. I don't try to ever get into any of that stuff, but this film has had a uphill battle of just behind the scenes problems and the massive reshoots, but you know, I digress in all of that. Just want to just kind of get that, you know, out of the way, just so I can just say what my, you know, overall thoughts were just with the film as a whole. This is a bad movie, and especially for being another remake of a Disney classic. And I don't know what it is with Disney itself as a company, or just with Hollywood, and they always try to go back to the well of trying to either, you know, do a remake, a reboot, or they want to do a reimagining of a classic film, book, or any type of IP. I wish they would just stop, because out of all the Disney films that they have remade, I think I've only liked probably two, and that would be The Jungle Book and Aladdin to a certain extent. But everything else, I didn't like Cinderella. I hated Beauty and the Beast. I didn't like Mulan. I didn't like Lion King. It looked good. It looked expensive. The money was well spent on that, but just for the overall story, it wasn't a good film. And I didn't watch Mufasa. I just kind of skipped that, especially after, you know, like I said, just how I felt about The Lion King. So just in general, I wish they would just stop remaking any of these Disney classic films into live adaptation, because they just don't work for a numerous others. Then there were the music numbers, which I thought were forgettable. They were just in weird spots throughout the film later on. And now early on there was a musical number with younger version of Rachel Zegler's Snow White, and you got to, meet her mother and father, who was the original king and queen in the film before her stepmother, ruled over the kingdom. So you got a little backstory on her, and I just thought it was just flat, and just not a lot of energy or personality when it comes to the music. I thought Gal Gadot probably had the worst musical number in the whole film. I'm gonna get on her character later, but if I did like a musical number, it's the whistling song that they did with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs when they were cleaning up their house. But other than that, yeah, like music, I just wasn't. And another problem is this movie isn't real, and I mean that is like, I get it is a fairy tale, I get it's from a beloved 1987 animated classic, but the movie is just shot on a sound stage. It's a lot of green screen. It's a few practical sets that's in the film. That's probably like for inside of the kingdom, inside of like certain rooms and things of that nature. That stuff look cool, but just like I said, the movie just doesn't look real. Everything looks fake. Hated how the CGI animals were, at least for me, it was a distraction, and it just kind of takes me out of it. Rachel Zegler as Snow White, I was giving it a chance throughout the beginning of the film, just so I can just see what her version is compared to the 1987 version. And it's always kind of hard to be like, you're trying to not compare two things to each other, but this is what, it sources from, and especially since it's a remake and a new reimagining of them, for a modern audience and, for new people. And I just did not buy her as Snow White as the film was progressing, and just with her love interest counterpart with the character Jonathan, and just that whole dynamic and everything of that nature. It just wasn't for me. I just didn't buy it, and I just didn't buy her as Snow White. Now, Gal Gadot. Now, I have mainly only seen her in Wonder Woman. She played Wonder Woman. She's been in Fast and Furious, and she's been in a lot of stuff over almost like the last, say, close to 10 years. And I don't want to say this is probably her worst acting performance, but I thought it was trash. And what I was talking about earlier with her musical number, she can't sing. She just looked out of place. And just for her character as the queen, like I said, not trying to compare to the original, because this is their version, but in the original animated one, the queen was real menacing, and you can tell, that she had that desire to be the fairest one of them all, and she would have done any and everything, to try to take out Snow White, which, she ultimately almost did do. But in this version, once again, kind of with Rachel Zegler's character as, Snow White, I just didn't buy her as Snow White, and just her as a queen, she was just so over the top. I just kind of just rolled my eyes whenever, she was on screen. But one thing I did like, I liked her outfit for the costume design of her. I thought they did like a banged up job with that. Okay, so this is the one I wanted to save for last. Save for last. The dwarves. And when they lead up to them, and when you first see them, the first thing I thought about was the Garbage Pail Kids. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the Garbage Pail Kids. Maybe if you're old enough, you gonna remember them if you're like around a certain age group. But if you're younger and you don't know who they are, Google them, YouTube them. I wouldn't recommend watching them. They always creeped me out. 1987's The Garbage Pail Kids. They look like a cross between them and them gnomes that be in front lawns and everything. I thought they were the creepiest, ugliest looking things in the entire movie. I do not understand why they did not just get actors. I don't want to say the incorrect term, if they, dwarves, little people, whoever. They should have just got them. They could have mocapped them. They could have done anything. The things took me completely out of the movie when they first came on. They were a distraction for me throughout the whole thing. Now, I didn't really see a lot of advertisement for the movie. Well, for that, I didn't see a lot of previews. So I saw like maybe like a picture or two of how they looked, but never really thought anything of it. But seeing them like singing, dancing, doing I ho, and all that whole stuff, I'm just like, yeah, these things, get them out of here. Just get them out of here. Out of all the dwarves, Grumpy was probably the one that I could relate to the most, because he was the one who had the most common sense out of them, especially through the plot of what the movie and what was going on. And they had a little small story arc with Dopey, and out of all of them, he was the one that looked the most tamed compared to everybody else. But yeah, the dwarves, get them out of here. Now, just for like overall with everything, it's like I said earlier, I wish Disney would just stop making these remakes of established IPs that they already have. Out of all the ones that they have had, like I said, I think Aladdin and the Jungle Book. Those are the only ones that worked. Jungle Book is the best. After that, it goes to Aladdin, and then it's just kind of just nose down for me after all of those. I just wish they would stop making these original, especially animated classics, and making them live action. I get this is a new story for a new audience, and just understanding, reading the, just like the old tale of Snow White, and even watching and growing up watching the 1937 version, it's just, that's just always playing in my head when I was watching the movie. And it's like, I'm trying to give this movie a chance, but it just didn't work for me, just for the leads, the villain, the story, the dwarves, but I know people are gonna, take their kids to go see them, especially like if you're a big Disney person, and if you're a Disney kid and you grew up on it, you're gonna check it out. You're gonna want to see how it is. But overall, I wouldn't recommend watching it. I would say you would just wait till this come on Disney Plus, for real. Even if it's on Disney Plus, you would just wait to watch it. If you got kids, you got little ones, they want to watch it, hey, more power to them.
have failed.